What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Neosynthesis, coming at you with an updated deck list, basically what I'm playing this format. I'm waiting on some cards to come in, and hopefully I can get an even more spicy list out there for you, but right now we're just actually playing something relatively standard. I'm sure you guys are seeing a lot of this format. It's branded Eldlich. So for the branded stuff, we're really not running too much. I've got this separated out by engines, by the way. Just the two Albaz and the triple fusion. I just want to be able to resolve two fusions potentially in a game, honestly, is the real reason that the second one ended up coming in. And yeah, opening this card is completely insane, obviously. Sending an Eldlich and sending Albaz is really strong. So yeah, I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. For the Eldlich stuff, we're running a pretty standard Eldlich package. The 2 Lord, the 3 land, and the 1 Elixir of Black, and I guess for the other Elixirs, just the triple Sanguine, and then for the lands, well, like I said, it's a really standard package pretty much for the Eldlich stuff. So just the 2 Lords, I really don't feel like you need 3, because we're not running 60 as 40. 3 land, it's like one of the best cards in the deck. Another basically starter Elixir instead of the white, because yeah, I just feel like getting the Eldlich out of the deck sometimes is really important, because that's like how you lose some of your games that should be like free wins, because you just never see your Eldlich, because you're just cut off of a resource loop. So it's like nice because it starts your resource loop, and you could play white potentially as well if you had the desire. So that's it for the Eldlich package, and I only run 5 of the Golden Land cards right now. Potentially that will go up. I think Hakero is really strong in the format, but as of right now, I'm just sticking with the very standard Eldlich spell trap lineup, but I am running the 1 black, which is a little weird, and potentially that could change to white. But for the generic stuff, we're just running 2 Lord of the Heavenly Prison. This card's really good, but it's not like, I don't know, like most decks aren't really running backer removal in general, because the decks aren't just kind of not. It's just not like logical to be main decking Harpy's Feather Duster this format and stuff like that. So they don't play it, and they play like Twin Twisters and stuff, because it's pretty good versus Albaz. You can get their Super Poly, get their branded in red, baited out. But I would say that it's kind of less than optimal in this format, because a lot of people are playing like evenly matched as well, because it's really insane this format, and this card just like does nothing versus evenly. But this card does search you a lot of your power spells, and it can start your like Eldritch resource loop. So 2 is definitely good, and then plus it's like a dark you can technically send now to make Libellion. And then for the generic spells, 1 Sacked by the Grave, triple Extravagance, just gotta get my other 2 golds, then I can draw this card always. And that's it for like the generic monsters and spells, actually. And then we're just going to go straight into the generic trap cards. These are like the best traps of the format. Triple Strike, double Dimensional Barrier, and 1 Ice Dragon's Prison. So I'm only running 2 Dimensional Barrier and 1 Ice Dragon's Prison. I would run 3 Dimensional Barrier, to be honest, but the fact that this card can only be activated once per turn is really, sad. So basically I just swapped out the 3rd one for an Ice Dragon's Prison. I think Ice Dragon's Prison is pretty good this format still, despite, like, it's normally not very good versus Despia, but you can kind of rip the branded in red target out of the graveyard and blank that card, which can be really good against some of their weaker hands and can kind of cheese you some wins. So maybe Ice Dragon's Prison will go up. I'm kind of just retesting this card, because my initial conclusion that it wasn't like that good this format, I think is wrong. I think that I'm off base. So more testing to be done on this, but this card's really good, and I definitely would run 3 if I can activate more than 1 per turn, but I actually just like can't. So same thing with Ice Dragon's Prison is another once per turn trap. This thing's like sliding all over the place. I apologize. But that's it for the generic traps, and the rest of the stuff is just the fun gates. Potentially it's right to go to more than this for your floodgates. Potentially it's right to just bump up to the 9 floodgates, and then I just personally feel that Rivalry is like the 2nd best floodgate in the deck, obviously, because I don't know why it's like not just staying still. I feel like Rivalry is like the 2nd best floodgate in the deck. Obviously, Skill Drain is like completely broken and will win you so many games. And there's that. It's really having a hard time staying still. Hopefully the video is like not unwatchable, but this is what we're doing with the floodgates. I feel like we don't really need more than this. You know, potentially I said you could go up to 9. I think that 9 is a valid number, but right now I just have 8. But these are like the win cards in the deck. So potentially one of the D barriers, or like Ice Dragon's Prison, could become another one of these. Another like Floodgate, and then potentially I just think that there can only be one. Although it's really bad versus Despia, it's like an auto win versus like a lot of matchups, and sometimes you need to just make the opportunity cost, like you need to assess the opportunity cost of like an absolute free win card in a lot of matchups versus like a card that's like kind of bad versus Despia. But theoretically, you should be able to fight back against Despia anyway, just inherently because of your main decking like Dimensional Barrier and your main decking Rivalry and Skill Drain, which are all like pretty good versus their deck. So yeah, I'm just kind of making a bit of a concession versus the Despia matchup in my Floodgate choice, but I don't think that it's too big of a deal. And like I said, that card being an auto win versus a lot of matchups is super nice, as opposed to something like, you know, you could run Goes In, and that's also an auto win in some matchups, but I just feel like I'm going to get more advantage from playing that Floodgate lineup. And again, that's all subject to change. And this whole deck is probably going to change because I think it's going to go up in numbers. So in general, there'll probably be more Floodgates in the next version. And then for the extra, we actually have to run like a super lame extra deck because we're running Extravagance. So I'm sure you guys, the astute ones of you out there, have probably already figured out what we have to do. We're running 10, like, basically branded fusions. We can't make, obviously, Mirror Jade, but we really don't want to banish all 3 for Extravagance. So, yeah, we have all of that. Potentially Mirror Jade could come out, but the extra deck is not that important in general. So we basically just have an extra board. This card's kind of cute to summon because you can like summon Fallen of Albaz from your deck and like super poly their board if they're not like paying attention. But just like be aware that good player probably you won't be able to do that against. Obviously, most of the time the combo is to summon Albion. You know, rarely are you going to summon Lubellion, but it is an option. You know, theoretically, if all of your Albions get banished or whatever. That's also why you have Titaniclad, because you can also summon Titaniclad, and it's not quite as good, but, you know, it's just kind of the best you can do with the Eldlich situation, honestly. And then for the one XYZ, we only run one Gustav Cannon. It's like the only one that ever really comes up. I mean, Libe comes up sometimes, but most of the time, if you need Libe, there's probably another misplay made in the game prior to that. Or you're just like never really going to be able to win that game anyway because they'll have an answer for the Libe. But yeah, burning for 2,000, like just having this card in your extra deck and just like being able to show it to your opponent, it will win you games for sure. And then we run 2 Link ones. I mean, these should be Link Spiders, but I just don't have them. And Imduck, you know, he's kind of swaggy. I don't mind Imduck. It's not on my priority list to change. And then for the Link 2s, we're going to show 1 Light Charmer, 1 Dark Charmer. Dark Charmer is easier to make now because you can make it with Albaz, Lubellion, Mirror Jade theoretically, Titaniclad, I mean, Albion as well. There really are a lot of, you know, ways you can make this card now. And yeah, you can kind of steal games with it. It's not as good as it used to be, obviously, because there's no DPE, but I like having the Light and the Dark Charmer in there. They're a good duo in my eyes. So yeah, that's the extra deck. Nothing too flashy. It's like mostly an Extravagance board. Like, yeah, like I said, like, I mean, I counted it out, but it was a lot of cards had to be dedicated to the Extravagance board. You know, 6, 9, 10 cards. So we really have a 5 card flextra there. So we don't have that much. Let me just tokens. We're gonna need tokens, ladies and gentlemen, for what we're doing in the next iteration of this deck. Stay tuned, but we don't need the tokens today. And then for the side, we're actually running kind of an interesting side deck. There's a lot of, we've changed it a lot since the last time. I think in general, my propensity to want like tons of hand traps has kind of gone down. like there's not like hand traps for the sake of hand traps, and most of them are pretty good. And like if they're a hand trap, it's like a turn-ending hand trap rather than like a Skullmeister, which is like basically like having a solemn strike for my hand, kind of, in a lot of the cases. But anyway, what we're running is we're running one Banshee, one Zombie. So I think in general this is really strong. Like obviously like versus Flunder versus Try. These cards are really good, and you can send this off of Branded Fusion right as well. But I think in the future, I am going to be main decking the Zombie World package with just one Banshee, one Zombie World, and one Doom King Baldarok. But in general, I think the deck will be more monster heavy when that's the case. But I like these cards a lot, and I find myself siding them in often. So I think there's a main deck angle for these cards in the future. And then this card is like insanely broken. And if I had spear modes, I would play 3 spear modes too. But we just don't have spear modes. Lava Golem's like super good though. Being able to tribute people's dudes off. We don't use our normal summon, which is a running theme in my deck building ideas lately. But yeah, Lava Golem's almost main deck worthy. Like this card's completely insane. And then, like I said, so hand traps. We actually are running some hand traps, but like they're really devastating. So if a Cherries connects on a like a Despia player, they're really in bad shape. And sometimes like there's a fringe corner case of like Light Charmer when you have like an Eldlich in your graveyard, but this is mostly to hit the branded stuff. It's really good when you can like make it so they just don't have access to Mirror Jade. And then the other like quote unquote turn ender hand traps we have 2 Token Collector. Like this is really good versus Sword Soul, and then like any adventure deck is gonna suffer super hard when that hits the board. And then we have one kind of, this is like the most meh card in my side deck, and maybe it should be just like an Ice Dragon's Prison or something. Just because it's kind of just weak sauce in general. Or like Torrential Tree. I have no idea, but 1 Infinite Impermanence. I mean, it's kind of good versus Sword Soul. I mean, if I had 3 Token Collector, I think I would play 3 Token Collector. Is my takeaway there. And then the third Dimensional Barrier, like this card's so good that even in the matchups that it's an auto win, you definitely just want to see it enough that drawing 2 is completely fine. So I side in the third, but I'm kind of like hedging against seeing multiple in the matchups it's not that great in. And then Triple Solemn Judgment. If you know anything about Eldlich, you pretty much know that the worst matchup is actually games 2 and 3. And this card you have to pretty much have in your deck games 2 and 3. I mean, you can take it out for like game 3 in time situations, but you're gonna be sad when they like red reboot you, or like hit you with something like really devastating and game ending that you just can't stop, like an evenly matched or whatnot. Like there's just a lot that can come down on you. And it's not particularly something that I want to be dealing with. I want to try to be negating that. I should have sorted my side deck like this, but neither here nor there. Well, anyway, that is what I am on nowadays, ladies and gentlemen. It's not the most interesting thing in the world. Branded Eldlich I think is pretty common right now, but I just wanted to go ahead and throw out my list. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts, things I should be changing, things I should be keeping in mind, or if you've seen like better lists out there, just let me know, or if you guys think this list's good, or if you didn't know some of the cool like interactions. But anyway, next time I profile Eldlich, I promise it'll be more interesting and hopefully involving these cards. I'm just waiting on the rest of them to come in. So anyway, it's been your boy Neosynthesis. Peace.